And we're back on Day of Giving with Evan Lipp, Associate VP for Enrollment Management. So this is your second year joining us on the Day of Giving live stream, but could you just tell us a little bit about your position and your staff and their role here at Marymount?
Sure. I think most people would view, I'm my title, my official title is Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management. But I think most people associate that to admissions work, and there's always lots of interest in what's going on in admissions, right? And I think both those around the Marymount community, as well as families in high schools, right? There's this aura around admissions. We are now, for the most part, fully staffed, and that's really exciting. Where you mentioned this is my second year here. This time last year, that was a real challenge for us, and that's across all industries, right? That wasn't just a Marymount thing. That's a higher ed thing and in corporate world as well. And so we're excited to have our team on board and have them trained and ready to go to best represent and present all the advantages of Marymount.
What are some of the biggest things you want prospective students to know about Marymount?
There's a lot of great things, about Marymount, and I think one of the things that I would lead with is the great community that we are, and I think it's an important part that I think all of our students experience, especially once they come and visit the Marymount campus. I certainly think the faculty that we have is a big advantage of the Marymount community, and how they will challenge and shape the learning that goes on here. Our location is a big advantage, and I think a lot of students, as I read applications, they mentioned our location as a big reason why they're thinking about and planning on attending Marymount. In this serene location in the suburbs of Arlington, but obviously the 6 miles from the nation's capital and all the advantages that brings. And then the fact that we're going to prepare them for the real world, right? The community that they're a part of, the diverse student body, the diverse faculty, and then the internship requirement piece as well is, I think, the piece that differentiates us from the most other colleges across the country.
We got big news this fall that for the first time ever, Marymount was ranked in the National Universities listing for U.S. News and World Report. How will that help in marketing to and recruiting students moving forward?
It's certainly it's one more attribute, right? It's one more accolade for Marymount, and again, is that going to be the reason a student ends up picking Marymount? Probably not, but it certainly is a reason maybe that gets their attention, right? And we'll be sharing that news with all of the high school counselors out there, making them aware of the national recognition. And actually, it's something that will help us in our international recruiting as well. When you talk to international students, those national rankings are really important. So I think that'll be a component that will be of importance to that segment of students that are thinking about attending Marymount.
Now, this certainly isn't an easy time, economically, I think, for how many students are going into college. So what are some of the biggest challenges that your staff faces, and how are you overcoming them?
Yeah, the economy is certainly a challenge, right? As a private university, that initial price tag can always be a concern, and with some of the challenges that we're facing with inflation and so forth, and the news doesn't help. But what we like to communicate and message is, if Marymount is their first choice, we will work very hard to make that a possibility. And students and families need to know that there are many resources available to them. Institutional grants, federal grants, loan programs, where I think the cost of attending can be surprising once they really peel back some of the layers and take a deeper look.
And with that, we are, going after enrollment growth here. So what are some of the ways, your staff is working on that? Maybe other programs or majors we're adding to help towards that aim?
Sure. There is an ambitious enrollment growth plan, and we're excited about that. But you in your question, you mentioned, how's our staff going about that? And I think that's a big leading piece to that. I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that we are fully staffed, right? And that's a big piece. We're coming out of COVID, right? And so we now have the ability to get out there in ways that we haven't been able to get out there and spread the word about Marymount, that we haven't been able to do in the last couple years. Some of the new programs that are coming to Marymount certainly are also bringing greater interest. The engineering programs, the biomedical, biomechanical, neuroscience, cybersecurity, all high demand programs that with faculty that are going to excite our students to want to join the Marymount community. The new athletic programs, I think, are also very important. Wrestling is bringing additional interest to Marymount as well. And so, the entrepreneurial spirit of this community is certainly a big part of what will help us in that enrollment growth plan.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We're actually going to have representatives of a lot of the groups you just mentioned. We're going to have a few from the engineering department here to show us some of the gadgets they'll be working with. That was a highlight of last year's stream. And next up, we're going to have Dr. Diane Murphy, the Director of the School of Technology and Innovation. So a number of our school directors will be joining us soon as well. And once more, Evan, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good luck.